Breaking news. I am here outside of the Supreme Court of the United States, where in a 6-3 decision, after just 4 days of deliberating, the Supreme Court sided with the New York Times in the Supreme Court case, the New York Times versus the United States of America. This all comes after when Daniel Ellsberg, a former military analyst who, like many Americans, became disillusioned with America's involvement in the Vietnam War, felt so strongly that the United States should not be involved in the war that he took 7,000 documents, classified reports, kept at the Rand Corporation in which he had previously worked, and leaked these pages to the New York Times and the Washington Post, where these pages later became known as the Pentagon Papers. These documents contained intimate details about the United States' involvement in the Vietnam War, as well as revealing contradictions between President Lyndon B. Johnson's reasoning for involvement in the war versus the truth of why they were actually in Southeast Asia. Neil Sheehan, who was the reporter who received the reports from Daniel, knew he had the story of the year, but ran the risk of being accused of violating the Espionage Act if he published the papers. However, after publishing 2 of the papers, President Nixon directed his Attorney General to stop the New York Times from posting these stories, claiming it would cause irreparable injury to the defense of the United States of America. However, the Times refused, and the United States government sued them in violation of the Espionage Act. With the Supreme Court's decision in the case, the New York Times versus the United States, this lifted the restraining order and allowed the New York Times and Washington Post to continue to post the Pentagon Papers. These papers revealed that the U.S. was involved in the war far more than anyone had previously known. Many consider the decision in the New York Times versus the United States a win for the First Amendment's protection of free press against government censorship. With the Vietnam War becoming increasingly controversial, it is no surprise that the decision the Supreme Court made in siding with the New York Times. Let us now go to an expert to better understand the background and the facts of the case.
In the First Amendment, the Founding Fathers gave the free press the protection it must have to fulfill its essential role in democracy. The press was to serve the governed, not the governors. The government's power to censor the press was abolished so that way the press would remain forever free. To ensure the press was protected so that way it could bear the secrets of the government and to inform the people. Only a free and unrestrained press could effectively expose the deception in the government. The paramount among the responsibilities of a free press and its duty to prevent any part of the government from deceiving the people and sending them off to distant lands to die of foreign fevers and foreign shots and shells. In my view, far from deserving a condemnation for the courageous reporting, the New York Times, the Washington Post, and other newspapers should be condemned for serving the purpose that the Founding Fathers saw so clearly in revealing the working of government that led to Vietnam War. The newspapers nobly did precisely that which the founders hoped to trust they would do. What the fuck? Cut out the last part, please.
Alright, so who am I here with today?
You're here with Edgar Zarate Antonio, expert in law.
Okay. Alright, so then what constitutional amendment is related to this Supreme Court case?
That would be the First Amendment related to the freedom of speech and press.
Okay. So what other Supreme Court cases are related to this case?
That would be the Neer versus Minnesota case in 1931 and the Dennis versus United States case. Both are related to the First Amendment.
Okay.
Yeah, ball back on her. I want to do two. Where's my shot? Where's my shot? Where's my shot? Where's my shot? Who got my damn shot?
And